All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about some things that their general manager had to say regarding, Anthony Richardson. Also, getting to talking about Michael Pittman and the possible extension that he could be getting. So, so obviously Anthony Richardson, got hurt, missed, majority of the season. Gardner Minshew took over as the starter, did a nice job. It was kind of disappointing because, Anthony Richardson was making plays early on. It was like, wow, he looks really special. And then just the season got cut short a little bit. So Chris Ballard expressed cautious optimism about Richardson's recovery. And now this is the thing I wanted to talk about is, expressed cautious optimism, noting the lessons learned from Andrew Luck's shoulder injury situation. He talked about the importance of not rushing Richardson's recovery process and adhering to doctors' recommendations. Andrew Luck's experience with a shoulder injury, including missing an entire season and ultimately retiring, serves as a cautionary tale for managing Richardson's rehabilitation. Ballard highlighted that while Luck and Richardson's injuries aren't directly comparable, the team is focused on ensuring Richardson's health and longevity. So what I wanted to talk about there is I saw a couple of TikToks recently of Andrew Luck. Really just sad, what happened with Andrew Luck. That was one of the things I actually did want to talk about with this segment, is just the fact that he has to relate it to what happened with Andrew Luck. It just makes you go back and think what could have been with Luck, because Luck was a solid quarterback. Now I knock my earpiece out of my ear. Again, just another mishap. I'll add that to the list. But yeah, it's just, Luck comes into the league, and after the Colts, with Peyton Manning being hurt the whole year in 2011, they move off of him, they draft Luck. And listen, Luck was good. The Colts were making the playoffs every year. Well, the first 2 years. And then, they went out and they, 3 years. 3 years, my mistake, sorry. And just after that, Luck, once the injuries started piling up, then that's kind of when things, took a turn for the worst. And, and listen, the Colts, it took a while, but then they finally were able to build an offensive line for Luck to protect him. And unfortunately, again, he had an injury, to start the 2019 season. Well, before the start of the 2019 season, and he just was like, I can't do this. He's dealt with a ton of injuries. Over the course of his career, and he just couldn't do it. The rehab really was just kind of. He even said it. The rehab was sucking the life of football out of him, and he ended up retiring. And this, again, it was finally after the Colts built him an offensive line. He took too much punishment and he had to retire. And it's unfortunate because that last game, it's kind of crazy to think about it, that his last game was in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes. And you thought that wasn't going to be the last time. You were like, wow, this team is going to be good next year. Luck's healthy. The Colts are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then he ends up retiring, and then of course the fans were booing him during the preseason game when they found out that he was retiring. It's just it was unfortunate what ended up happening, with Luck. And now with Anthony Richardson, you understand where Chris Ballard's coming from. Does not want the same thing to happen to Anthony Richardson that happened to Andrew Luck, where you're, constantly getting hurt. Now, Anthony Richardson's a different player because, he's, going to take off and run with it a little bit. Now, Luck, if he had to, he would, but he was more of the, traditional pocket passer. But yeah, he, again, could move around a little bit, but again, not really like, Lamar Jackson or, Josh Allen, but, Luck can move around. But Anthony Richardson's a guy that, he's going to take off and run with it. And listen, that could get you hurt, And again, the Colts, they want to be very careful with his rehab. They want to make sure that he's good, you know, for the long haul. I mean, this is their long-term investment, it seems. And again, we didn't really get to see him play that much. So hopefully next year he's playing the full season, so we get to see what he can really do on full display over the course of the season. But yeah, again, just unfortunate that his season got cut short. So he ended up finishing. I actually wanted to pull up his stats. So yeah, he ended up finishing with 3 touchdowns to 1 interception, 577 passing yards. Yeah, he got hurt in the Texans game. Titans game, he only went 9 of 12 for 98 yards. But yeah, I mean, but in the small sample size, you could tell, like, he could be a special talent, if he could stay healthy, and if the Colts can surround him, with the right pieces. So we'll see. But also the other thing too I wanted to mention is talking about Michael Pittman. So, yeah, Chris Ballard emphasized the team's intention to keep the wide receiver. The Colts have no plans to let Pittman enter free agency. They talked about the franchise tag, so that's probably what's going to end up happening. They'll franchise tag him, and then they'll try to work on a long-term extension. So, we'll have to keep an eye on that. So, yeah, they have until March 5th to negotiate a long-term contract with Pittman before the franchise tag window closes. If tagged, the team would have until mid-July to finalize a multi-year deal. Pittman's performance in the 2023 season set career highs in catches and receiving yards, underscores his importance to the Colts offense. Again, this will be stability and keep a reliable target for Anthony Richardson once he comes back. They have other wide receivers on the team like Josh Downs and Alec Pierce, which, I think the Colts, good young players. Josh Downs made plays in 2023, Alec Pierce as well. But you want to add some more to that position, I feel like. He also, so Ballard also praised the depth of the 2024 receiver draft class, comparing it to previous years when Michael Pittman, Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, and CeeDee Lamb were drafted. But yeah, I mean, listen, you want to keep Michael Pittman. Losing him, wouldn't be a good thing for the Colts. But again, I feel like the Colts should definitely try to. And they got some cap space. They got some cap space, so they can definitely go out and spend. And there's a lot of wide receivers. Now they could they could probably draft another receiver. That's also again a possibility. But they definitely like I just said, they're trying to prioritize keeping Michael Pittman around. So we'll see what ends up happening, but. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be it looks like they're going to use the franchise tag on him. And yeah, so again, we'll just have to keep an eye on it. Yeah, so like I said, the Colts they're going to have some money to spend. And I think maybe wouldn't be bad to maybe try to add another wide receiver to that room. I think also, a tight end might be something that they could try to improve that position as well. Obviously, what you're getting out of the running back position if Jonathan Taylor's healthy. Zach Moss did a nice job also last year too. So, that's also that's one thing that's good with Anthony Richardson coming back is you're gonna have a full year of Jonathan Taylor. And obviously Taylor was looking for that new contract, and that's why he was missing, the first few games of the season. But having him back for the full year, that definitely will help Anthony Richardson as well. But, like I said, AFC South as a whole, going to be a very competitive division next year. Those teams have a lot of money to spend. I know the Titans are kind of the fourth place team right now. I think most people look at them as the fourth place team, but again, Texans just coming off of their winning the division and winning a playoff game. The Jaguars, they fell apart at the end, but they're going to want to bounce back. And the Colts, listen, they fell a little bit short. So again, that division is going to be very competitive, and that is something that we are going to, keep a close eye on for next season. So, and obviously the Colts, they don't want to see their right now their number one wide receiver, walking in free agency. You got to, the Bengals trying to work out a deal with T. Higgins. The Bucs are trying to bring back Mike Evans. You got the Colts trying to keep Michael Pittman. Yeah, so a couple of T. Higgins. I mean, Jamar Chase is the number one wide receiver on the Bengals, but still, I mean, T. Higgins is like, you could say is like the 1B. When he's healthy. So yeah, some big wide receiver ones that were entering free agency. Well, it looks like the Bucs are not going to use the franchise tag on Mike Evans. They might use it on Antoine Winfield Jr. I could see that. Like I said, they're working on trying to bring back as many of their free agents as possible. Lavonte David, Antoine Winfield Jr., Baker, Mike Evans. They're trying to bring all those guys back, which I hope ends up working out for them. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Colts, their situation. What do you see Anthony Richardson doing next season? Do the Colts end up getting this long-term deal done with Michael Pittman? Let me know in the comments. So when we come back from our final break of the show, we will then talk about the Vikings and them making sure that they have Kirk Cousins. It looks like they want to bring him back, as well as obviously another wide receiver who is arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and that is Justin Jefferson. We'll talk about the Vikings and, this whole Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson situation here. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.